The best thing about being in Venice is just that you're in Venice and not somewhere else.
You know, they say Venice Boardwalk or Venice Beach is the #1 tourist attraction in all of LA and #2 in California. And it's like the question is always, well, what is it? And people say they come here for every part of it. The musicians, the artists, the diversity. It's like a wonderful tapestry. I mean, I love it here because it's so free. People come here because it is a representation of freedom. People's ability to live freely, to express freely. I see miracles every day. I see beauty every day. I see creation happening every day. And you don't see many places like that in the world.
Being that this is Venice, it's very difficult to tell the difference between your local billionaire trust fund kid and your homeless person on the street. This is the only place I've ever felt really comfortable. I remember when I first moved here, I was like, why is everyone smiling at me? Like, why are they waiting? That's weird. You know, I came from New York. That's my favorite thing about Venice is the community and the people. The weather's nice, but you know, you can have nice weather anywhere. But these people, like the freaking eclectic weirdos and people that love them are all here.
The Venice community is cool as shit. It is such a neat place. Like just the first time I got here, I was like, whoa, all right, what's this? You know, it's just fun to ride through the boardwalk and see people in all their glory. The weirdest person and the prettiest person and the ugliest person and the dude just like yelling at a parked car for no reason. You know, it's like interesting. It's just constantly interesting. If you have anything that's on your mind, it's not gonna be on your mind by the time you get to the other end of that. But I also don't have a car, so I don't get to go many other places and I prefer it that way. So when I do go other places, I'm generally appalled with how much I don't like it, and I really like being here. I feel about as at home as I ever have. Something that has struck me and people have mentioned when they've come to visit from my family is like the murals. They're just paint, you know, so many different kinds of murals everywhere. The energy that creates and gives off, there's something to be said for that. I think it's the creative center of the universe. Just having so many different types of artists in one place and an ocean, I think that's something that is easily forgotten in Los Angeles. The beach is right there. I don't think that's forgotten in Venice at all.
Once you've been in Venice for a long time, you just know everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's seeing the worst and the best of people, you know? You do see a wide variety of the highs and lows. A lot of artists are drawn to Venice that paint on the boardwalk and do their art out there because they can just come, set up their art, and open up their own little visual gallery right to the world every fucking day.
There's only one spot, definitely in America, where there are 200 10-foot by 10-foot squares for artists that are free. Beachfront property. You're the closest that you can be to the beach. Venice is kind of a grown-up Disneyland with no corporate funding. I love it. I mean, what an office. I've always liked the wildness of things. I never wanted to be, man, locking me up indoors just sucked. There's so much going on all of the time, but I do enjoy all of the energy that is around you. I mean, that's just an amazing feeder. If I didn't love it, it probably wouldn't be a success for me. It would probably just be another place to sell art.
You get a lot of support here in Venice Beach if you're an artist and you're different. There's no other place like it on earth, for me at least. I couldn't see living anywhere else. I've noticed that people who come out to Los Angeles are reinventing themselves, and that has always been an American thing, to go west for a new dream.
I was born in an old coal mining town, an hour north of Manchester. And I left there about 10 days later. I went to America. And then I grew up mostly in New York, but back and forth a little. And my parents just couldn't decide where to live. I got this traveling bug from them, and I kept it up. And like by 16, 17, I went to Tempe, Arizona, under the pretense that I was curing my asthma. And I actually just did a whole lot of like drugs and stuff. Because what else is there to do in Tempe, Arizona? I came out here after being in New Haven, Connecticut for a bit. I got this great warehouse space in New Haven. It's just the best space I've ever had. Unfortunately, it was in New Haven. So it was either I was gonna go back to New York, or my friend Greta said, come to LA. My dad got me this house. I'm starting school at UCLA. You have to come. So I had 4,000 square feet of stuff that was full of stuff that I gave away, got rid of my space. I brought my vinyl records and my spray paint, and that's it. And I moved into Greta's house, and she wasn't here. And about 3 days later, she sent me a text saying that she had met this guy, and it was probably better than me and her didn't live together, because it might ruin our friendship. So I stole all her stuff, and I moved into a storage unit. My car ran out of gas on electric in California, and I slept there. And then I started painting there. I don't know what I was thinking, because I had nowhere to keep these paintings or anything, but I started these huge freaking paintings. The average was 60 inches across by 80 inches high, mostly because I had all this spray paint and I wanted to do spray paint stuff. You know, I guess the people at Abbott's Habit noticed the stuff, and they asked me if I wanted to do a show. And I did this show, and because of all the people I had met, they all brought people. Opening night, I cleared like $6,000 in sales, and I went and I got an apartment the next day, and it was great. It was like, wow, you know, the beginning. I eventually worked my way into this house that I've been here, I think now like 3 years. But my landlord's so amazing, you know, it's like old school rent. She wants me to be here, and it's just a cool feeling.
My parents told me that they would find me dancing to the dripping coffee pot in my crib when I was a little kid. My father and sister play piano, and it was just a very musical house. When I was 8, my parents made me take piano lessons for 2 years, and I thought that was for girls. That's what my sister did. I was going to be a professional baseball player, so piano lessons didn't really make sense in my life, and I hated it every week, and I barely practiced, but I had a pretty good memory for it, because I would always show up to practice, and the teacher would realize that I remembered everything from the week before. My dad plays guitar and bought a bass when I was 14. I begged him to get the bass, and it was supposed to be his, and he never got it out of my hands. Most of my development in music was from playing with friends in high school, and then I went to music school for about a semester in college, and it was great. It was the first time I ever really enjoyed school. Everyone that was around me was going to be a teacher of music, which wasn't what I had in mind for my life at 18. I decided I didn't want to be content. I wanted to really go out and tour. And I was playing with a friend of mine in Atlanta named Randy. He had been touring with Butch Walker, who had like a top 40 hit. And Randy called me one day and said, hey, do you want to come play piano for Butch? I thought piano was for girls, and here it was, whatever, 12 years later, like, this is your job if you want it. So I took it, and that led to like a 5-year situation where I was touring, going overseas, traveling to Los Angeles a dozen times, and eventually stumbling across Venice and going, I want to stay here. When I moved to Venice in 2009, I didn't have much other money to eat and to pay rent, and so I was looking for free shit to do. And so I opened this magazine, and it had a Santa Monica Symphony Orchestra, a free concert with a suggested donation. I thought, well, I can afford a suggested donation. So I went to it, and it was a free orchestral event less than a mile away from my house. So I couldn't believe it. I saw it, and it was fantastic. So I ended up coming back to Venice. I was really excited, and I was brand new. I'd maybe been here 2 months, and I couldn't wait to see what Venice had. And it had nothing, and I quickly realized that Venice is pretty disorganized, despite how creative it is. I had the idea, I mentioned it to a couple of friends, some of them were roommates, and they mentioned it to another roommate, Jason Teague, and he was really excited about it, and he figured that him and several other local Venice business people would be interested in having that for their community as well. First time I met him, actually, he had heard the idea from a roommate, and he came and saw me. He's like, you are the exact kind of person that I want living in Venice, California, which scared the crap out of me because he's like a really big dude, and I'm pretty sure I was like drunk somewhere around their backyard. So it took about 2 years to kind of finally get it going. And now we have a blossoming Venice Symphony Orchestra.
I was actually born in SoCal, Long Beach, Compton area. My parents were like long hairs, and they drove up to Oregon. I grew up in Oregon for like 25 years. I moved to Venice, hitchhiked to Venice, actually Portland, Seattle, Tennessee, Texas, then Venice, and I've been here for like 12 years. I lost my dad when I was really young, and I was pretty much like on my own since I was like 12 years old. And so I didn't know how to like take care of myself, pay bills or anything. I just was like, what am I gonna do with myself? I dropped out of high school, I went on Dead Tour. I got off Dead Tour, I seen some dudes blowing glass. I was like, learn how to blow glass pipes and make mushroom pendants. I sit in front of this tiny little flame, you know, meticulously like sculpting glass. And that's how I made a living. And coming into California, I was able to meet some soft glass workers and get the opportunity to work in like Italian offhand soft glass blowing, which is out of a furnace, larger scale work. So that's kind of neat. Landing a couple large jobs, I was able to build my own studio, which is pretty nice. You know, a lot of glass blowers can't say that. They just get projects and go and rent the space from somebody else. In the last 18 years of my life, it just went from like young life events happening to like learning a trade and like investing my time into art and like sculpture and being able to make a living off it, which is neat. Like in a way, I feel like I've made some decisions for myself that I could have did a lot better. You know, I could have went to school, that whole thing, and become somebody completely different. That's it. Wow, that clears like an inch. That's sweet, yeah? Yeah. Golden. Now I'll be rolling really soon. That's a big hole. So that means we can do pieces that are twice that hole. Anyway.
I was here for a convention and was walking on the beach in Santa Monica towards Venice, and I heard a voice. And I say, the spirit was talking to me and said, you live here. And I thought, well, that's odd. I hate LA. And so I went back home to Minneapolis, and I just went, wow, you know, I live in LA. That's strange. And then I came back the next month for another convention, and it got louder and louder. So by December, I had my stuff packed in a U-Haul, and I drove from Minnesota. Now life is really different, not what I could have planned or imagined. What I thought would be a job in working in treatment facilities like I used to, or running spiritual recovery groups, I ended up living on the beach in Venice and started painting and playing music. I met Abraham, who is an activist, an artist, and musician on the boardwalk. He's been here since like somewhere around 67. When I was looking for a partner, it was really convoluted. It was made up in my mind of what it would look like to have this ideal partner. And the more I became aware of the love that I was, the more I could see it reflected outside. So I just asked, let me see this expression of me as love. And there's Abraham in my face, you know, like so unexpected. And it was just this natural thing that neither of us to this day can explain. I left my apartment in Westwood and started staying at the beach like a hippie, you know, like the gypsy I am, I guess. And started staying in his van. And it was very strange. It seemed so natural. Maybe because I grew up camping a lot with my dad. We pretty much live in our van when we're in Venice. And it's perfect.
I heard that heartbeat.
It's a great way to live, simple.
When I was a kid, my grandmother had art. We didn't have art. My dad wasn't going to spend his money on art. I mean, even when he had good money, he wasn't going to spend it on art. It was good money. Why would you spend it on art? There's things you can do with this, you know. There's jet skis to buy and trips to take. I mean, my dad didn't want me growing up to be an artist. Maybe raising cows or, you know, owning a construction business, you know, professional boxer, something like that maybe, you know. But yeah, not a painter. When I was young, I always drew. I drew a lot. And I had a drawing table in my room and stuff like that. But you didn't make a living as an artist in my family. That was not a career option. I grew up with people that could outdraw me 10 to 1. I mean, oh my God, I've had, I don't know how many people that worked for me doing construction that were a way better pencil artist than I am. And I'm sure their dads were telling them the same thing, you know? No, that's not a career. I'm like, man, if you could have seen what those dudes would do, oh my God, you know? And maybe there's 1 or 2 or maybe get all the way up to 10 dudes that don't tell their son that. They go, hey, yeah, draw, man, look at that stuff. That's amazing.
That's really what I was gonna do, was just black and tan. I'm gonna try to swap it halfway here in the middle and see what happens.
I said only Jim Morrison and Tony can wear leather pants. That's right.
I had been doing a cover band and I'd been singing everything from Sweet Home Alabama to Play That Funky Music to reggae to Nirvana to Stone Temple Pilots since I was 21. And I started in hotel lounges of all places. And that was more Santana and lighter music. And then when the grunge movement hit, I learned how to sing like Kurt Cobain and Scott Weiland of Stone Temple Pilots. And every time I would do the Doors in this cover band, oh my God, you sound just like Jim Morrison. And people just go crazy. This friend of mine, who I just saw recently, he told me, you know, maybe you should just do the Doors. And, you know, dress up like Jim. And I said, maybe you're right. And that was 1998.
Is anybody alive out there?
Some of the band members didn't want to do just the Doors. Like, why are you screwing up our cover band? We're playing 4 or 5 nights a week. We're making decent dough. And I said, because if this is all music has to offer me, I'm out. I don't want to play just 4 or 5 sets a night all over Southern California. I forced the band to learn Doors. And then the last tail end of that cover, I was just doing Doors at the bars. And they're like, what are you doing? And and they just didn't know that I was getting ready to move on to Peace Frog. 1 or 2 gigs that I did land for Peace Frog, I made more dough doing those 2 shows than I would have doing the covers for 3 months. What I used to do to get into character was drink excessively. Well, I'm going to be Jim Morrison. I should drink a lot and abuse alcohol, and that was real easy to do. To just, okay, I'm going to drink these beers, and boom, I'm in character. And that was a funny thing, because a lot of times people would say, is he really drunk, or is he just acting, or is he really? And they would ask me, and I would say, well, if you have to ask, what's the difference? You know, I mean, what do you care whether I'm drunk or not? I mean, did you have a good time, is what I would say. And did you like, oh no, it was great. We're just wondering if that's an act or not. And many times it wasn't an act. It just stopped working at the end. So now it's definitely acting, and people still think I'm drunk. That's the funny thing, is that I talked to them after a show. We thought you were drunk up there. I'm like, no. People will remark, I can't believe you're that same person that was up there on that stage. You know, like, yeah, that's me. It's just I'm in that zone, and now I'm being myself.
I grew up a little bit of everywhere, and I'm not quite sure that I'm actually grown up. I got to Venice about 20-something years ago. Just wanted to see Venice. I never thought at that time that I would be an artist. But as I got older and had jobs, I mean, I doodled, and usually on the phone. There's usually not a lot of pencils at more of a professional place. You usually have pens. So with a pen, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna draw lines or squigglies or crosshatch kind of things, or you can make little dots. You know, the dots made it was an easy way to make realistic shading. When I started doing the dots, I'm like, cool, I like this. Then everyone was like, oh, no one's doing the dots. No one does the dots. Oh my God, the dots. Guess I'll be the dot guy. I had started drawing pictures with markers down here, and people came to me and said, man, I love this. This is so awesome. And they would look at the pictures. Man, these are so awesome. Do you have one in paint? It was something that I had to explain that, no, I do not paint. I brought 3 pieces to Venice when I decided to show up with paintings. An Albert Einstein, a Bob Marley, and a Jimi Hendrix. I didn't go to art school or any of that stuff, so I just took the knowledge that I had and made a painting that looked like the magic marker picture. That's what they said they liked. Then yeah, voila, next thing you know, Jason's a painter. I guess it's art. I mean, I don't know. It's, I mean, I do try to lay it out in a manner that makes some kind of aesthetic sense. I don't know, maybe that's art in itself. The biggest thing, I mean, to me when I'm drawing something is, can people tell what it is? Does it look like what it's supposed to look like?
All right, here we go.
realized that I could survive from blowing glass the minute I did it. Scrape up like $100, go get some glass, and like turn that $100 into like $1,000 on like a weekend. And I mean, being 17 years old and being able to do that, that was amazing. I love to make glass. I appreciate what I do, you know. I'm stoked. I've given, I think, probably more glass away in my life for free than I have like sold. I swear. If you love what you do, it's like, I mean, I come here every day. I'm like, this little shop's pretty cool. Like, I built this with nothing. I could do so much better. I know I can. I'll try to do this faster. I'm an artist. I am pretty fucking eccentric. You know, I got a couple of screws that need to be tightened here and there every so often. But I stay focused and I stay on the same track of what I'm doing, and it seems to like suit my life. I'm pretty content. I make people happy when I make glass and they take it home. So that's what like the most important thing is making somebody happy with what I do. To be able to start with something as simple as raw hard glass and like heat it up, shape it and sculpt it, and spend whether it's an hour or 10 minutes to like 10 hours on a piece. When you're finished, you're like, wow, I made this. When I make a piece and when I break a piece, that is classic. That's like the fun of it right there, you know? Because I mean, you can be making something and you're at like the peak of like finishing the sculpture that you're making, you know, it makes you feel like complete. You like put all your heart and soul into something, and then in like the quickest instant, it's gone. So the piece is gone. But I've learned how to get over it. I mean, my temper is like definitely declined. All right, I'm gonna try this again. Hopefully it makes it. In the beginning, man, I could see myself like ripping my glasses off my face or like, you know, screaming profanities or whatever it was, you know. I think a lot of glass makers are like that, and they're just like so passionate about what they're doing. I used to be one of those people that used to come to Venice every day just to hang out. Like every day, like I would wake up when the sun came up and I would skate from the marina all the way down here and just like skate the beach all day. I would walk up and down the canals and like pick vines and like make dream catchers and sell like flower bouquets and I mean, I would make lemonade, dude. Like I would hang out. And, like, this is when I was homeless on the boardwalk, so I had a lot of free time on my hands. Those are some like the best times of my life where I felt the most free and like the happiest. I mean, I'm happy. I'm stoked, you know. Somewhat of a business that works and an ass establishment, you know, versus a beat up ass table, like lugging out to the beach every day and like setting up and tearing down, setting up and tearing down. You just walk in, like turn my key and like sit down. Hopefully like some business comes in, light my torch, make a little glass, show up late, close early if I need to, call it a day, lock it all up and just turn my back to it.
Do everything right here?
All the glass in the shop right here. Muck showed up and just has destroyed Venice with her beautiful work within the last 10 years. She's like really one of the most prominent people that I've seen come to LA and get their art out there.
I'm gonna go paint at Love Shack.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Furniture?
No, like canvases on the ground. They just want live painting. This color's cool. And this color's cool. Okay, that's enough. Well, I used to write on stuff when I was really little. They came out with those paint pens. I think Uni made them. There was this lady in town that would use the paint pens to make these plastic jewelry boxes, and she would write letters with little balls on the ends of all of them, and you'd write your name on it, and little balloons and flowers. And I got my hands on some of the paint pens, and I started writing in her way with the little balls, all the curses and like anything I could think of that was not okay. And I would write it on people's bumpers, on their license plates. I was big about signs and license plates. So if I could reach a sign on the street, I would do it there. But license plates were easier because I was little.
Thank you. Turn it up.
Are you holding on?
Don't let go. Don't let go.
I think it was because I really wanted the cool jewelry boxes. No one gave me one. with my name on it. And that's why my mom got me the pens instead. And she's like, you can make your own. I'm like, fuck. Well, now I'm going to go write on everything. And I just got absorbed into the graffiti movement as soon as I was old enough. And quickly learned that there had been this whole culture of people that were writing on things in a much bigger way than I was. And I was thrilled. It made my whole outlook on life different, because I was such a miserable kid. I was like suicidal in 4th grade. I got reported for telling someone that. It also gave me like this whole cult of friends, because I started writing my name, and then I would meet people and I would, you know, show them what I was writing, and they're like, oh, I saw that. And I had like this respect. Pick one of these.
Want to paint?
Yeah. On this canvas.
This one. Really? She looked like you a little bit. I like this one.
I was also drawn to this, and I kept saying, why am I drawn to this so much?
Because there is something behind it.
There's
It's
something,
like,
right?
Kind of like you lose a little man.
What the fuck is going on? Yeah, I know.
Little man.
It's cool. All right, man. In New York, I would be prepared to get arrested. I would make sure I had my ID, my drugs were stashed, and you paint until you get arrested, or stopped, or yelled at, or something. But I never had a case stick. Like, I would fight everything. And I would never hire a lawyer. I was like, they will not get money out of me, no matter what. And everyone else would like cop to like, some people would do a couple days in, some people do community service. I would always fight everything down to a violation and drop, you know? And like, eventually, the cops would stop coming, the evidence would go missing. Like, and I even learned how to file depositions and stuff. I took criminal law classes. Like, I still had no idea what I was doing. That shit is so complicated. I met Lady Pink, who was a very established artist in New York who had come up through the graffiti movement. She asked me to work with her, and she pretty much apprenticed me for 4 years, like the equivalent of getting a college degree, I would rate it as. She told me not to go to college, and I worked with her every day, and it was a paid apprenticeship. I did a lot, but I learned so much, and I also, the most important thing is she gave me the confidence to do this thing, because that's what you really need as an artist, is just to believe in yourself. That changed everything, because I started getting paid instead of arrested. I could have no income for the next 3 months. As far as I know, that could happen. It's like you never know with the money thing if it's gonna happen or not happen, and there's a lot of bullshitting. But I've been doing this 20 years, and it's come to a point where something comes up. Sometimes people just come out of the woodwork and they're like, oh, can you paint this 30-foot RV? And it's a little nerve-wracking. I guess I kind of am jealous of people that know what they're getting every week, and it's gonna keep coming every week no matter what, and all they have to do is keep doing it. But I do have a new kind of awe and respect for them. Like, after recently attempting that day job stuff, it's really freaking horrible. Like, and I had a dream job as an artist, like in a textile design firm, and like they gave me a desk and a beautiful big computer, and it's like, I wanted to kill myself just because I was there. And one of the other worker people was like, you probably shouldn't text so much. And I started crying. I was like, oh. You know, just the fact that someone was telling me like how to behave was like so jarring. I would rather paint anything than to sit here. Well, honestly, like, I'd go crazy if I don't paint. I get really depressed. I don't get out of bed. It's a really bad disorder. I was really depressed for a long, long time and suicidal. But, you know, I'm painting, I'm doing what I love to do. I have a freaking dream life in Venice Beach. Anyone who lives in Venice Beach has no reason to kill themselves. You know, like, sorry. There's palm trees outside and everyone's nice. The end.
I was walking down the street, going to catch the bus to downtown Salem, Oregon. Seen a buddy of mine, and he invited me over, and these cats are blowing glass in their garage. There's a couple, like 3 or 4 of them, and you know, these little national like jewelers torches. I was just like drawn to it. Go to their shop, they're just blasting Bob Marley, you know, and like just laid back, really conscious group of individuals. They're just trying to make a buck, you know, make their living and not be like trapped in the society's way of life. Like bohemian artists. And I was like, you guys gotta teach me. They're like, dude, I'm not gonna teach you. And they said, like 5 Gs. I was like, you're fucking tripping. And so I was just like, I hung out with them forever, and like they're really cool cats. And I just sold a bunch of their glass for them, you know, and chilled out with them for a hell of a long time. And then before you know it, I seen it so many times. I was like, dude, I could do that. I'm gonna do that. And then one of my best friends at the time gave me his dad's torch. Stole his dad's welding torch and gave it to me. I mean, the first time I got on the torch, I actually made something that was different than what they were doing. And it was pretty unique, you know, it had color and it was styling. And slowly but surely I was able to like understand how the metals, like the golds and the silvers and how the glass moves, and you're able to like manipulate it. It's a pretty neat medium to work with. This is my cure, bro. This is my cure for my fucking insanity. It really is. Like if I didn't have glass in my life, I don't know what the fuck I would be doing, dude. Ooh, I almost want to put another one on there. That's it.
The Venice Beach Drum Orchestra is something that Abraham started 20 years ago, and he was part of the drum circle on the beach, and then really wanted to have a platform that was, I guess he would say, a drum church, a spiritual place, a place of raising the vibration, not about playing the drum for drum's sake or partying or whatever.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much. Seems like Babylon come and shut us down, so we gotta take it easy. Thanks very much. Yes, Babylon, dirty Babylon.
Okay.
It's all good, man.
It's all good. We're only here till 4:30.
It's all good.
We'll keep it down. Just
one more song is all good.
Okay.
We're gonna bring it down.
And then,
No
and then
problem.
the band comes.
Yeah.
Thank you, officer.
No
Bring
problem.
it down to
Thank
the
you.
ground.
Come on, it's just no one. Yeah.
We are changing the vibration of what happens on the boardwalk. Some people hate it and they call the police. But I challenge them and have challenged them to look within. What is it that is being triggered within you? Because the drums do that. Just last week, I was arrested as a musician for playing my drums. There's a great battle between people who want to express freely and live freely, and those that don't and are threatened by it or are fearful of it. And I'm trying to be the balance, because for me there is no judgment. I just see it for what it is.
I am different. I'm not a normal person. I realized that through life. I may be a little autistic or just weird. I definitely have had lots of wallops to the head, so to say. I've shattered some helmets. I've always liked doing lots of different things. I get bored easy. If you stop learning at the job, I'm out. I struggled, I would say, at a younger age because I liked the physical work. But most jobs that require physical work don't require that much brain. They just didn't want to pay you for being, the worker.
Drying time.
That was not where the paycheck was, which is where society tells you to be. And I would say I definitely fell into that a lot as a youngster. Now I would definitely tell people, responsibly follow your dream. If you really like doing something, do all you can to find a way that makes you a living. You can be taught something and be just as good or better a lot of times than somebody that's talented. Everybody else is calling this person talented, and you're like, you were never called talented at it. You can be twice as good as them though. It's just an effort thing and where you put your energy and your mind. The will to want to do something is amazing. And it's really hard to beat the guy that loves doing something. Every day, I love what I do. Because people say that I'm an artist, it's allowed me to have a very free lifestyle as a painter. And I'm very thankful for that because most painters don't get a lot of the freedom that I get. I get to express myself in different ways, and if I didn't get to be this type of painter, I'm not sure I would be a painter by any means.
You know, yesterday was one of the, probably the saddest day in Venice Beach that I've ever seen. I was standing outside, right here, Venice Bistro with Abraham and his wife Shelley, and we looked over and we saw this car coming onto the boardwalk and accelerating full blast down the boardwalk. Abraham began to run towards the car, and about 5 seconds later I began to run towards that car, and we were going to do our best to try and get that car. And he was gone.
For me personally, instead of judging him, I know that whatever was going on in his mind made sense to him and he acted out of it. And if he would have just had time to quiet down, to get to his core, then wisdom and common sense would have prevailed and it wouldn't have happened. But that's not what happened. So he just very intentionally, it appears that he hit that the first vendors who are always here, and a tarot reader who lives here, and then just kept going back and forth, meeting people. Yeah. My first impression was, how do we help heal this? Because that, to me, is the most important. How do we create another experience that's of beauty and compassion, love? And so I put 3 murals out. Well, it started out as 1 mural for community creation. We had such beautiful response, and it ended up being 3 of these most amazing murals that now are on the way to this woman's family in Italy. And I know that it was a healing experience for the people that participated here, because people were so traumatized and didn't know how to release that energy of sorrow and helplessness. And now the family is going to receive something that's priceless.
Tonight we're going to dedicate this entire show to the families and the loved ones and the friends of those that were injured, and that person who died, who was on their honeymoon visiting from Italy, had only been married 2 weeks. So we're going to send this one out to them, and let's try and get some healing going tonight here in Venice Beach. All right.
I was standing 150 feet from the corner when I heard the car make the corner, and just stuff started crashing. And there's 2 spaces on that corner where vendors set up, and they're clear. And it was a scary sight, because you look and you're like, man, all of this stuff was moved, and it took about 1.5 seconds. Once the noise started, everyone almost got silent, so it almost made the noise louder. Of course, then everybody ran down to see what we could do to help out.
In every experience in life, we can focus on fear or on love. It's that simple. And for me, when I see a lot of the media, and of course we have to show the facts and what happened and try to understand because it's incomprehensible, you know? But beyond that, there is a place for healing and a place for changing our memories, because what we store in our body as memories can affect our health.
I think it's a really beautiful idea. I mean, so that's one thing.
So it's about, well, so you need to come and participate. Take off your jacket when you're done with work and paint. It'll be good for you.
That's a good idea. It would be. You're right.
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I ever described my life, I mean, that's what I would describe it as, is life. 42 years, man, I have lived. Not all of it's been good living, but man, it's all been fast and exciting. I mean, even the bad stuff was not boring. I mean, you can learn from anything that's bad and nothing, I mean, once you've made it through the bad thing, I mean, isn't that the thing? I mean, right? I mean, what do you have to be worried about now? You made it through, dude. It's cool. I don't really look at the negatives so much as negatives. I mean, a lot of people look at my life and go, man, you've had a lot of bad things happen to you. And I'm like, man, I've got to do so much cool stuff. I can't believe I've made it this far with all the things I've got to do in life. I mean, it's totally to me on how you look at it. I mean, something bad happened to me the other day that I did. I just looked at it as an experience. I'm like, cool, I'd never experienced that before. You know? So I mean, to me, it was just like, it was cool because now I know what it's like to go through that. I think it's just a choice, and you don't have to be so upset anymore, which I definitely lived most of my life upset over everything.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is, if possible, when I get back, set the 3 out and get a picture of you by them.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that'll work.
And then I'll post a picture too, right here by the beach. Awesome.
We'll see you Friday.
See you Friday. Thanks.
People kind of think, oh my God, that person's acting crazy, or there's drugs, or there's abuse, and they see all this stuff. But what they don't realize is that what they see on the boardwalk is real life. And that's why people come here too. People are living their lives in a very visible, truthful, authentic way. There's no hiding anything. It's in your face. Versus what you see and may judge as, oh, this is unacceptable, is going on behind closed doors on the other side of the street too. And that threatens a lot of people because it is truth revealed about what the nature of our world is. Humanity is so powerful. We've just forgotten the essence, the truth of who we are.
From Beck to Beethoven is kind of the quote we use and often emphasize that we're the Venice Symphony Orchestra. We're different than most of the other people who call themselves symphony orchestras. We combined some themes from classical music with contemporary rock and roll, indie, hip-hop music. There is the classical music side of string players and wind players, and then we also have like the rock and roll side of what we do. And it's so funny because they just don't approach music the same way.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got something else for you. This is the Venice Symphony Orchestra. They're gonna suck it to you so bad. So I want your rapt attention here, man. Have a listen, and you're gonna have a good time. Okay? The Venice Symphony Orchestra.
There's a hierarchy where you follow the leader in classical music, and where when you're playing rock and roll, it's much more like everything's cool, like we're all equals here, like, you know, so you kind of let people find their wrong and right spots and develop into the best idea. This is an interesting mix of both in one room and they often roll their eyes at the other party because just their level of understanding for each other is very little. But in the end result, it's kind of cool because now we're getting to make them improvise and make them uncomfortable on both ends, and that is fun for me, watching them freak out and then watching the audience kind of enjoy that. When it comes to the improvisational factor on the moment of the show, it doesn't matter what your education level is. It doesn't matter if you do or don't know how to play it. You're in the song. You're playing it. You're there. You know, anything that's come before this moment doesn't exist in my mind, and it's go. Pointing at the guitar player, okay, solo here, because when I point at you, you solo. That's the rule. And so when I point at him and he's afraid to solo, that cracks me up. I just think that's really funny. And the same thing with the string players when they don't know where to come in on something because it's improv and it's not the same structured music they're used to playing. And all you do is say, hey, stop, wait, we'll do it again. Don't worry. 2, 3, 4, go. You know. That's part of the fun of it, you know. It always say that this is our laboratory for those pieces, and I'm looking forward to exploiting that even more. I've noticed, and I've had several people tell me, people are more interested in us when we do some of our experiments because it could fail and it could be a total disaster. It's a little more forgiving of an audience, but when we're doing good vibrations, you know, then they're judging the song and the way you're doing it, but as opposed to the experiments and just kind of the improv factor that we've brought into the symphony orchestra world, which is new, but it's unusual, and people like to see you take risks, and people like to see you possibly fail. So, but they're supportive, so it's cool.
That's an experiment with stars and music and color.
As an artist, like, I'm pretty much expected to be fucked up. Like, it's totally okay. I've been known to get caught up in drugs. Not even in a cool way. I'm like, I gotta shoot some heroin and go to work. Like, I'm not like, woo, party with the rocks. No, I'm like, I'm banging dope and working. And I'm doing it so I can work more. And in the end, it doesn't even work out. It never works out, you know, which is why I'm sober now. Like, what happened this time, I had 6 years sober, and I was like, I need to push more, you know, and someone mentioned Adderall, and I was like, well, more work. And I started with the Adderall, and it was really slow progression, but I became like such a junkie for the Adderall. And then the Xanax came into it because I couldn't freaking sleep because I was eating like 500 milligrams of Adderall a day, you know, and then I needed to freaking chill out with the Xanax. And then, you know, I was just miserable all the time, so I had to start taking oxys just to be okay with myself. And then I was shooting heroin again, and I totally thought I was done with it. I was like really cool with being over it. But like, you know, I do a 12-step program, and that's the only way I don't freaking get high right now. You know, I get out of control with that. And I'm such a control freak that I think I have control. And it makes me think like, now I control how I feel. You know, that's the ultimate. I'm controlling the world because my perception is the world. And it's a great fucking power trip until it isn't. I swear, this time, I left here in February for 2 weeks. It was a 2-week road trip to go work on a movie in Wilmington. It took me till mid-May to get back here. I ran until I was on a freaking hospital bed. having tubes in my face to breathe. I couldn't walk. I lost like 73% of my lung capacity. So I was like, it was sucked. And I didn't know if it was coming back. I had my friend leave me in a motel with nothing. I was like, take my phone, take my bank cards, take my car, take my heroin, and I'm gonna kick. And I kicked, and it was gnarly. And I went back to the people on the East Coast that got me sober before, and I told them what was going on. I had like 3 days off dope, couldn't walk, couldn't breathe. They were all like, what the fuck did you do? Because I left the East Coast on top of the world, and I had started meetings there. It's like I had detoxed so many people on my couch. And they were there, still sober, like with 5 years sober. And I'm like crawling in the meeting like, I'm dying, dude. And I thought I was dying. Like when I gave away the dope, I didn't even really think I was gonna have to kick because I thought I was dying. Like, this is it, you know. And the only hope is that I stop right now, no matter how gnarly the kick is. I felt my lungs filling up with fluid. And that was it, you know. And I started going to AA in New York, and it worked, you know, and I freaking made it back home. And that was my big fear, was like, I can't ever go back to Venice. Like, I don't know why, like, I just felt like I was trapped. In the beginning, it was like, wow, I'm nailing these huge jobs, getting paid more than I've ever been paid, on top of the world, and I fucked it up pretty bad. I mean, sometimes you just have to stay on the level. You don't have to, like, fucking blast off, because where are you going, you know? You gotta come down sometime. It might be better to just, you know, sell doggy portraits and paint some walls around your neighborhood. And that's what I'm doing now. When I tell people what's up for real, like the honesty itself kind of kills the disease a little. You know, that's how it works for me anyway.
I mean, obviously we need money. We need money to survive. And I would love to be rich, but like literally I'd probably give all my money away. I don't even want to have to think about paying bills. So that would be success. I want to be more successful. But I keep striving, you know. I came to LA homeless. I got a torch and one kiln, and I was on the back patio, like a 6x6 foot patio, and started from a garage, you know, to like building my own hot shop. And I got furnaces and glory holes and annealers and blowpipes and all my wooden blocks and all my optic molds and like lots of glass color and like an actually functioning Italian hot shop. But now I need to get it hooked up and working full time and cranking out mass production. Dude, I make so many random things, it's so funny. Like people come to me and be like, make me one of these. I'll be like, all right, I'll make that, you know? I'm so tired of making pieces that I don't sell. That happens in the glass world, you know? People spend a lot of energy on making a piece. They go sell it to like a retailer, and the retailer sits on it, you know? I mean, for a long time, it's an investment. There's so many millions of dollars worth of glass just sitting on shelves. It's been sitting there for like 10 years. For the most part, when I'm doing like my own thing, I think that's like, I don't know, I see this like biomechanical, like alien world, you know? I've been making glass all my life, and that's what I do, you know? And I feel lucky, but I think there's more, like, I need to do more, no doubt. Like, people would kill me to have what I have, I guess, and I really don't even have that much. But I mean, I did come from nothing and have a little something, but like, I know that I'm capable of so much more. If I could have a generating machine that, like, I could just get into the shop, make some stuff, people are like stoked to be there, we're like, you know, there's flame going, like there's like lots of glass being melted and sculpted and shaped, and like people are like showing up to pick up stuff, and like, you know, like a really, really oiled machine that is productive would be like complete.
When I met Abraham, shortly after we got together, I realized that I knew him from before, many lifetimes, you know. Some people will go, oh, that's crazy, but when people look at us together, it's kind of odd. People have come up and said, wow, you're the strangest couple ever, but it's so beautiful to watch because we really are one. Maybe the greatest moment was when my whole life fell apart. My perceived life. Had a business that was very successful, and then when the economy went to shit, had difficulties and felt like I was gonna lose everything. Some was reality and some was my created story of reality, which became my reality. In that moment of selling everything, I think I realized that what I thought defined me was the big house, the business, the family, living in the right neighborhood, in the right zip code. All that changed, and it was so drastic that I thought, I can't do this anymore. And there was a point where I just wanted to end all of it. It took something that profound for me to wake up and start changing my life and deciding to live fully, consciously. When I paint or when I'm playing music, my mind is nowhere. It's completely silent. And in that moment of stillness, you can have the greatest epiphanies, you can have the greatest insight and clarity and truth, you know, wisdom that comes from within. Venice is a powerful place, a theater of life that is reflecting everything that's happening in the world. It reflects poverty. It reflects wealth. It reflects beautiful creation, freedom, you know, all these things. It's so powerful.
Thank you.
There are a lot of people that are worried that Venice is changing and it's going to just be a bunch of rich people. And it's not going to be artsy and cool anymore. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you don't like art or you don't have taste. I mean, and I think that's part of why people want to move to Venice is because you like the artsy house. You don't like the cookie cutter version. I think you can definitely make things as cool, just have them nice. When I started to paint, I was always told that this is not a job. And so I took this very seriously, and I was going to follow my dreams responsibly and said, okay, you need to do this in a manner where you can learn. Out here, I have people that walk by every day and tell me whether my painting is good or not. If I paint whatever I want to paint and they have nothing to compare it to, there's nothing solid to base anything off of. When I use a famous photograph, everybody knows that image, and they know those people, and they know right away whether you missed it or not.
Can I see that one real quick of Jimmy? Yeah. I was here a week ago and saw that Morrison one, and then I asked him if he could do a couple more, and he just started on. I tell you what a cool guy he is. He said, don't pay me now for him. He says, if you don't like him, don't worry about it, I'll sell him. The thing I like is that he could take an uneven surface, those slabs. You know, I mean, and don't take this the wrong way. I'm not an artist, but you know, any artist can paint on a canvas. But to paint on an uneven surface, that's really cool. I think it's really talented.
I lived a couple of miles from one of the art schools in the valley. The lady invited me in and everything. She'd seen some of my doodles with the markers, and she's, oh yeah, she should totally come and see us and everything. And the school was $90,000 to $120,000, depending on which program you took, for 4 years. And I said, man, why don't I just go out here to the beach? And instead of spend $90,000 to $120,000 in school, I'll just go out here and I'll be really responsible, and I will work hard and try, you know, to learn. And I will use these people to not only give me a paycheck to help me fund this little learning experience, but to also, they will be my teachers, you know, because that's all you're getting in art school anyway, is somebody's opinion. Casey's a good helper. He's usually the boss, but he's a great helper.
I would totally lose all enthusiasm in all of this project that I've started as an artist if that was the completion, was to just paint the painting. You can see what it is. I'm done. You know, I mean, to me, it's how good can you make it? How well can you complete what you started?
Someday I'll have a home like this. My expertise will buy me a beautiful place like this. This is definitely the biggest piece that I've made.
It's getting bigger.
It's gonna get bigger. It's too small, it's not big enough. So that's good.
Most people walk in and they're like, oh, this is awesome. And Toby and I are like, no, it's not right. But any other person that walks in the door is like, look at that. And they're all in awe.
Yeah. I'm trying to just sell $1 million pieces. I don't want to sell $10, $20 pipes. Inevitably, the thing is gonna get broken. I'm not dissing the pipe scene because I'm a piper straight up. But on top of that, I try to do a little bit of high-end stuff. I'm so happy. That's good. When you're doing lighting and sculpture, and art for people, they take that piece home and they don't touch it. They don't let their friends touch it. That piece, is gonna be there, and it's gonna be appreciated forever until that shit's wiped out from an earthquake.
I want to paint things that get a reaction. And in this day and age, beauty is just played out. They maxed out. And disgusting is maxed out too. I would like to get people to communicate passionately, whether it be positive or negative. And a lot of people love the weird shit, and they're like, oh, that's great, I used to be so much in controlling my situation, I want this to look like this, it has to look like this, and I'm not gonna stop till it looks like that. I would spend so long on paintings, just making it so perfect, like photographs. And now, it's just, whatever, I'm gonna be a vessel and let whatever happens happen. The wall that I did, the wall in Venice, I did that after a gnarly run where I ended up really getting strung out on meds and then later heroin, and it was a fucking bad deal. And I thought of all these beautiful artists and musicians, actresses and stuff that are not with us anymore because they chased that high, that freeness. And through whatever drugs or alcohol, like I think everyone died from drug overdoses. People got mad about it. People were like writing me shit. Freedumb is insulting. These were amazing people. Yeah, no shit, they were amazing. They could still be amazing. Like most of them would still be alive right now. And like imagine the decades of work they would do, considering the small amount that they contributed before they died. I came to this realization that I had to stop trying to like be free in the way that I was, trying to have no responsibilities basically. And I went and like lived on the street, and I wanted to get free. I wanted to feel free. I would end up getting strung out on heroin. And so like me chasing freedom became dumb because I ended up homeless, junkie, and in jail, That taste of freedom always costs so much. That's why I originally got it on my knuckles, like to remember, because when I got sober and I was like, I can't do that dumb shit anymore. The real freedom comes from taking care of your responsibilities and doing what you have to do.
Well, as you all know, today is Jim Morrison's 70th birthday, and that's why we're here, man. And if there's one song that describes Jim, and his favorite would be this next one, man. We thank you for going out tonight. We got one more. This is the end.
At the beginning, this train started to pick up some speed and momentum, and it included a lot of drinking alcohol and a lot of sex. I thought everybody drank like me and my musician friends and what we did, and artists. It just got out of control. I mean, think about the job that I have. If I'm up there drunk, wasn't that a live recreation of a Doors concert experience?
I'll never look into your eyes again.
That is a very dangerous place for a musician to be in. You feel entitled and you feel there is no restraints. A lot of times you can get this warped sense of feeling, my audience deserves me getting drunk. Now you're really in some danger zone. I'm doing this for art. It's not for me. Jim Morrison would say in his interviews that the audience participation is important to a Doors show. And it's very rock and roll to have that call and answer.
The West is the best. The West is the best. It is, there will be the rest.
I love to do that because it just creates this energy of this is what we are all doing right now together. If you truly love what you're doing and you continue to do it with the passion that you have for it, every day you'll be propelled to get up and do whatever it takes. And not because of anything, but you just love doing it. It does take an obsession. The music makes you think about your very own existence and how you fit into this all. Jim wasn't about going outward. He always was about the change starts within. And you first change yourself, and that's how you change the world.
The end of nights we
I've been asked, would you do a tribute to someone else? And I'm like, no, this isn't something that I chose. It chose me, and Jim Morrison and the Doors have been a part of my life since I was 11, and continue to be.
Long live Jim Morrison and the Doors! Long live Jim Morrison and the Doors! Happy birthday, Jim!
What I love doing is music, and that's is a really, really vague term. And the more I do it, the more I realize how vague it is. Because it's just shaking waves. But you know, there's genres, and there's touring, and there's writing, and there's the rehearsals. I really love it all. I haven't been here as long as a lot of other people have been here, and they say how much it's changed. Some people say 20 years ago it was so dangerous, and some people say 10 years ago it was dangerous, and people say 7 years ago it was perfect. And I don't know. I can only tell you what I've seen. I've seen it change some, but change happens, and I don't think it's possible to ever ruin what this place is. But I think people wanting to fight that change is what makes this place this place. But the place has always changed, you know, and every place changes. So it's like, it's going to be Venice, and it's never going to be anything but that. And I don't see how that could be taken away. I think it's kind of an intangible spirit about the place it kicks ass. I call it home now, and it's just a great town. It's so different. It's world known for its unusualness, you know, and it's just a beautiful place.
Thank you. Give these guys a round of applause. Hang tight and watch the sign lighting. Thank you very much, guys. God bless.